Hello, 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 and welcome to day 3 of the 12 Days of Bizmas. I am so excited to hear you all tuning in to this series. This is my 4th time running it. Every time I do it in a different format, but I would like podcasting to be my ongoing one from here on out. So the first year I did 12 Days of Bizmas was my first year in business, 2019, and I did it on Instagram stories. And then I did it in 2021, I want to say, as emails. And then I did it in maybe it was 2022 I did it as emails, and 2023 I did it as carousels on Instagram, that's for sure. And this year we're doing podcasts. I don't know if I did it 2021 or 2022. I don't even know if I could look for it because I've changed email platforms too many times. Anyways, unimportant. We're on day 3. We're here to talk about podcast guesting for short. And you may have heard me talk about this with Chelsea Rife. Why don't I ever know the episode numbers of my own podcast? Back on episode 88, that's when I talked about it. Anyways, so great episode, if I can toot my own horn. But we talked about podcasting in general, and we did touch on podcast guesting. But I want to go further into it because I have been guesting on podcasts since 2019. 2019. I went on a friend's podcast first in Vancouver in person, went to her apartment and recorded a podcast episode. I was hooked. I thought it was so fun. I thought it was so cool. And then I started my business. And so I started looking for business shows, for podcasts that I could talk on. And of course, I've done so many shows at this point. I can't even tell you. There's 30 to 50 shows out there with me just gabbing. But I have done big shows and I have done small shows. I have done all shows. I have done, I'm like not a Dr. Seuss. But I have done shows about traveling. I've done shows about being a business owner. I've done shows about being an entrepreneur. I've done shows about working on film sets. I've done shows about mental health and shame and being a Black person traveling. Like, I've done shows on so much. I actually have an episode lined up to talk about like language and living in Mexico when I didn't speak Spanish. So I don't restrict my podcast guesting to business shows. And if anything, going into 2025, I actually want to expand more into speaking on shows that aren't strictly business because I want to reach wider audiences. And I feel like a lot of the business shows, you get a lot of the people on all the same shows. I'm guilty of it because I look at what shows people are guesting on and I bop around the shows as well. But I want to start branching into more conversation-based podcasts, mental health-based podcasts, travel-based podcasts, and like sharing stories and getting to speak to people as a person versus as a business owner. That's just my 2 cents. It doesn't have to be your strategy. If you're brand new to this, which I know a lot of you are, I hear people say all the time, I've never been on a podcast. What do I do? How do I get on them? I'm nervous. How do you get on so many shows? Blah, blah, blah. It's really easy. We can all do it. And I want you to all do it. I want you to challenge yourself. If you've never been on a podcast, to go and apply for a show like right now as you're listening to this. Don't shut me off, but like as you're listening to this, there are so many shows that have application forms on their websites. So what I do when I'm looking for podcasts, instead of like signing in DMs because I'm lazy like that, I will look at shows that I like, go to their Instagrams, find their websites, go to the website and see if there is that magic button that says apply to be a guest. And then I applied to be a guest. And as part of my subcontractor work at Right Hand Glam, if you don't know, I work as a subcontractor for an engagement agency. I have done podcast pitching for clients. So they give us like a one sheet. It'll have name, email, bio, photo, 2 to 3 topics they can talk about. What else is common that people ask? oh, like how long you've been in business, just like general things, links you want to share if you want to share like a private podcast like me, or if you just want to shout out like your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your email list, your website, right? And so making that for yourself is super great. I actually have plans to make one for my VA so she can pitch me to shows in place of me having to do them all this year, this coming year, 2025. But you just use that and then you go through, open up, find a bunch of applications. So create that one sheet for yourself. Go through until you have like 4 or 5 applications open in your tabs and just go through and fill them all out. I guarantee you'll get to speak on one, if not more of them, if not all of them. I rarely get rejected from podcasts. I recently got rejected from one. It just wasn't a good fit. I shot my shot. She didn't. I knew I wasn't her ideal client. I shot my shot anyways. I get rejected often from speaking in person gigs because I still keep pitching myself for those. So I did get accepted to one, but I had to reject it because it just, to get to Miami in the early January, it was like the flights were insane and it wasn't paid. And I was like, I can't swing it as much as I would love to. Anyways, if you are new to speaking, I think we can all be speakers. I know we're all content creators now, but I think we all have stories to tell, and I think we all have voices to share. And I think podcasting is a really, really great way to do that. But if you don't want to host your own show, I didn't want to run my own show for 2-3 years. I didn't start the show until end of 2022 because I didn't want to edit. I didn't want to figure it out. I didn't want to learn a new method of creating, but I love talking. So I knew I could succeed. And instead of starting my own, I went on other people's and I capitalized on their audiences and I capitalized on them creating the graphics and them editing the show and them putting it out and doing the SEO and sharing my name without me having to do anything other than sit for 35 minutes in front of my camera and talk to this person. Another reason I love guesting beyond just getting to yap, getting to share your voice, getting to meet new people, is that it signs me clients. And like, funnily enough, I sign a lot of the hosts whose shows I go on. Like the hosts of the podcast who interview me end up booking remixes because they're perfect for remixes. If you have a show and you're not using that back catalog of episodes, you're my perfect client. And so a lot of the times when I come on and I talk about my offer and I talk about my services and how great they are for half an hour with someone, by the end of it, they're sold. So you can imagine what happens with our audience then after as well. I get followers, I get email subscribers, and I get sales. So if you're someone who's looking for another way to market your business in 2025, because I do think we all need to be using long form in 2025, we'll get into that later, then I recommend you look into podcast guesting. And if you're like, I don't have the first clue on what I could speak about, who I can speak to, please slide into my DMs at Felly Day. I will 100% send you a show I recommend you applying to, or introduce you to someone that I've spoken to on their show, because like I said, it's almost 50 shows that I've been on now. I know quite a few podcast hosts that I can introduce you to in quite a few different ranges of topics. But I'm going to keep that short and sweet as we've been doing and end day three, I think, of 12 Days of Bizmas. And I will see you in my DMs, hopefully see you in the comment sections. I hope you are following The Unprofessional Entrepreneur, binging the old episodes in between the releases of these, because even though these are coming out daily, season 4 of The Unprofessional Entrepreneur won't be out until February, and I don't want you to miss out. I got a lot of episodes. I got a lot of good shit that you can binge and listen to and become obsessed with. Or you can just hire me. But yeah, DM me at Felly Day, find me on my website, fellyday.com, or slide into my emails at info@fellyday.com, and I will be happy to chat with you. I will love you and leave you there, and I will catch you tomorrow on episode 4 of 12 Days of Bizmas.